Good afternoon. My name is Doris Santiago, and I'm giving a speech on obscure food consumption, and this is my audience. Next slide. The purpose of this speech is to educate the audience on the effects of food consumption on the human body. Next slide. Here's a classic snack. How many Mountain Dew drinkers do I have here? Okay. Citrus punch, citrus drinks, energy drinks. How many energy drinkers do I have here? Okay. How would you feel if I told you that one of the ingredients in these drinks is actually bromine, which is a flame retardant? Would you be inclined to go and fill up your grocery carts with this product if you knew that ingredient was present? Maybe not, right? Also, we have a jar or a can of Pringles. The videographer, I just want to make note that the videographer just ate a whole can of Pringles, okay? Pringles actually has an ingredient which is a fat substitute called olestra, which is known to promote stomach cancer, okay? So the purpose of this speech is to show how different types of food consumptions or different elements in food actually affect our body, good ways and in bad ways. So let's talk about some bad foods. Next slide. Now this list that you see here was comprised from the top 20, top 50, top 100. What I did was I extracted from each list the most common that I found, and I put them even in order. So as you can see, starting here from the left, the deep fried foods. Any deep fried foods is a no-go. Okay, you don't want to eat anything that's deep fried because of the fat content, unsaturated fats, trans fats. Those all lead to a lot of different illnesses and diseases that affect the body, okay? And just to clarify, the shelf-stable condiments, for those of you that may or may not know what that is, those are those little packets of mustard, little packets of ketchup, relish. They actually have preservatives in them to extend the shelf life of the item, which I'm going to get to further along in the speech. But these are items that you do not want to eat. Also, I want to point out the processed meats contain nitrites, which also, it affects the body in a very bad way, very negative way. Next slide. So if I show you the worst, I'm also going to show you the best foods to eat. These foods have good content of fiber. They have good protein content. The sugar levels for these foods are minimum, okay? And they have beneficial effects on the body. They boost the metabolism, they optimize body functionality. Now when I say that, I'm talking about, your digestive system, okay? They don't affect it in the sense where you get diarrhea and, or you get any other kind of stomach ailments. These actually are very beneficial for humans to eat. Next slide. Here are two of the commonly diagnosed diseases. America's #1 killer is heart disease. Now, if you can remember the first list that I showed you, there was bacon, there was processed meats. Bacon has a lot of fat content in it, has a lot of sodium. Processed meats also have high sodium content, which leads to high blood pressure, which also leads to heart disease, okay? And at its worst, we know that with heart disease, a lot of people, experience heart attacks, which ultimately can lead to death. Celiac disease is also a very commonly diagnosed disease that affects the intestinal tract, okay? What it is it is a accumulation of gluten inside of the intestines. And what happens is there's so much gluten that is absorbed in the body that it closes up the pathways of the intestines so that you're not able to eliminate your foods like you're supposed to, and your food doesn't break down. And what ends up happening is people with this illness, they suffer from symptoms like bloating and cramps, diarrhea, And as you can see here with this image, some of them even have physical aspects where they have rashes on their elbows, on their scalp, and on their knees. This is a telltale sign of celiac disease. And what it is an accumulation of gluten. Now, gluten is found in pizza, it's found in pastas, and it's found in a lot of our bread products and a lot of the baked products. So you have to be careful, read your labels. If you see wheat gluten, rye gluten in the labels, more than likely you're eating something that's jam-packed with gluten. Next slide. So what are the culprits that make a lot of these foods so dangerous for human consumption? Well, here you have a list: additives, preservatives, synthetic hormones, and pesticides. Next slide. So when we're talking about additives, here's a very interesting one, okay? Monosodium glutamate is a flavor enhancer, found a lot in Chinese foods. I'm so sorry, Charm, because she's half Japanese, half Chinese. Studies show, there was a study that was conducted in female mice, female and male mice, to see what the obesity and aging process was in mice that were injected with monosodium glutamate. One good thing they did find out was that in this study, monosodium glutamate does stabilize insulin within the mice, and it keeps it at a pretty steady level. However, it contributes to obesity. As you can see here in the picture I have with my little mouse right here, okay? It also leads to premature aging. So monosodium glutamate is not a good thing. It was first discovered by a chemist from Tokyo by the name of Kumune Ikeda. He called it Ajinomoto, which translated means the essence of taste. Next slide. Preservatives. Preservatives are basically shelf life extenders, okay? As you can see here in the photograph, you know, we have produce that is, their origin is one particular part of the country. Well, in order to get, say for example, these tomatoes from one state to another, a lot of the agricultural industry will use preservatives to extend the life. They also inject dyes in a lot of the fruits, like your oranges that look beautifully orange. They get injected with dyes so that they'll stay that beautiful color. Okay? If you look at the chemical compound name, hydroxybenzoate, better known as paraben, but to us is basically wax. So a lot of our fruits and vegetables have a wax covering on it to protect the item from any pests that might try to infiltrate, or even any bacteria that might get into the fruits. That's why they put wax on a lot of the fruits and vegetables. So what I would tell you is, please wash your fruits and vegetables, because if you eat it just like that from getting it from the store, you're ingesting this preservative, which is not a good thing in the long term. Next slide. Synthetic hormones, okay? RBGH. This is used to, specifically in cows, to make them fatter, produces more meat, right, and more milk. Also, farmers inject the livestock with antibiotics to make them bigger, okay? And as you can see here, RBGH plus antibiotics equals high yields, right? Because you get more meat, you get more milk. As you can see here, this is a good caricature of what I'm trying to relate to my audience here. Next slide. Pesticides have been linked to birth defects. Here are the Clean 15. These 15 fruits and vegetables have been tested to see what the pesticide content was on them. Avocados had 1%. The rest of these had little percent of pesticide found on them. Next slide. GMOs. The purpose of GMOs is herbicide resistance, pesticide properties, and nutritional content. But see, it's linked to cancer. Okay, so you don't want to eat too many foods that have GMO content. Okay, next slide. So in conclusion, read your labels, wash your produce thoroughly, and modify your diets to promote health and increase longevity. And that's my speech. Thank you.
Okay. 9:22.